My name is Catherine Stanton. I'm Curator of Primates at the Johannesburg Zoo. And today we're going to take a little look at the history of Johannesburg Zoo. So in 1988, a man called Herman Eckstein bought this land to hopefully mine for minerals. And there weren't any. So they turned it into a timber plantation and 3 million trees were planted in the area. And then by 1903, this land was donated to the people of Johannesburg. It was 200 acres and it included Zoo Lake and it included the War Memorial and then the land that the zoo is on at the moment. They acquired their first animals from Sir Percy Fitzpatrick. He was of Jock of Bushveld fame and he organized the first animals to come into the zoo. Behind me here is the old carnivore enclosure. That was the first enclosure that was built. This was built in about 1910 and this housed lion and leopard for a while. So here we're standing by a field gun. This was placed at the zoo around about 1920 in commemoration of the people who lost their lives in the First World War. What it does is that it actually points to the War Museum, and the War Museum was actually constructed in about 1911, and that commemorated all the people who fell in the Boer War. And if you look in the distance, you can actually see the angel which is on top to remember all the people who lost their lives. This was constructed in about 1910 as the main restaurant for the zoo, and in fact the field gun is on the stairs of this building now, and this was converted into an education centre in about the 2000s. Here we've got our old elephant house. And this was constructed in 1913. It was made because we purchased an Asian elephant and a camel at the same time. The Asian elephants were used for rides, and in fact they did elephant rides until 1963 when one of the Asian elephants decided it had had enough and it came back to its house. Unfortunately, did a runaway with kids on its back. So they then decided the time had come to stop the elephant rides. Here we have what we call the old polar bear enclosure. This was built in 1910. It was actually built for Alaskan bears. We only ended up housing polar bears from about 1924. This enclosure was built in mind of creating a cool space for the bears. We're not allowed to get rid of these enclosures. They're now heritage buildings, so we can't knock them down. So what we've got to do is either convert them or just have them on display to show people what zoos used to be like compared to what they are now. So what we've got housed in here are red pandas, and of course red pandas come from really cold climates. So they actually do well in this enclosure because then they don't require the heat that a lot of other animals might need. Behind me is one of our oldest enclosures. It was built in 1921 and it happens to be one of the first moated enclosures in the zoo, where they did away with cages and put animals where it was open to the public but they couldn't get out. Joburg Zoo has so much history in the 120 years that we've been around. By just seeing some of the upgrades and some of the differences, hopefully you can see how zoos have changed. And it's one thing which excites us so much, is how much better we can make it for the animals under our care, how we can give them choices, how we can give them more natural environments. History is important to know where we came from so that we know where we're going, and zoos are evolving all the time. Zoos are here to actually get people to change their behavior, to actually care more for the animals, to care more for the environment, and to hopefully make the changes necessary to make sure that these animals have beautiful lives.